Recording. Okay, so welcome to my PLC. Hi. Okay, the purpose of this meeting is to analyze our Unit 1 math data to see what we did well at and what we need to do better at. Okay, so you can sign this and I'll sign it. To that one. Oops. I did it backwards. It's okay. Okay, so the first thing is with our data. I guess we can look at your 5th grade data first, and then I'll break down my 3rd later. Okay. So what does the Unit 1 math data tell us about the overall performance?
So overall, they did pretty well. 71% is the overall grade. 78.6% approached. Like if this was a STAR test, we had 78% approach. 42.9% met and 7.1% mastered. So I'm pretty happy with that. We have a lot of low students in my 5th grade class, and that's a pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's really good.
It's a pretty good show on their skills for Unit 1, so I'm pretty happy.
Were you able to look at and see which TEKS that you're really strong at?
We had one actually 100%, which never happens, and that question was, we needed to do expanded notation. It was 5.28, and they did the number 7.238, and they had to drop down and correctly put all of those numbers in standard notation. So the question itself was a little bit tricky with all the drop downs, and it looked funny. So I had to show them like on the board before we did it. I didn't give them the answer, but I showed them how to use the drop down menu, and 100% of them got it right.
Cool beans.
So that doesn't happen very often.
That was 5.2a.
Yep, 5.2.
5.2a is represent the value of the digit in decimals through the thousandths using expanded notation and numerals.
So they also did really well on number 3, which was 5.2b, and that's another drop-down menu, but this is a comparison, so greater than, less than, or equal to, and they had an expanded notation. So again, expanded notation, apparently they just get that one, and they had to compare it with a decimal and decide if it was less than, greater than, or equal to, and then
So they get comparing even. They're getting comparing well.
and the expanded notation stuff. So 5.2b, compare and order 2 decimals to the thousandths and represent comparisons using the symbols greater than, less than, or equal to. So they're getting both of those things. We stunk it up in some other areas, but I got those.
So that's kind of where I was going to ask you is, where do you think if we didn't, so it's okay, what am I asking?
What are your areas of concern? Like
Okay.
what are the TEKS that were tested on this assessment that were the low performing standards?
Okay, so I have my lowest question was number 7, and that's 5.3e, but I'm not sure that it wasn't just a little bit confusing, because they had to type in correctly an expression, and then they had to answer it both. And 5.3e says solve for products of decimals to the hundredths, including situations involving money, using strategies based on one value understandings, properties of operations, and the relationship to the multiplication of whole numbers. And it was the correct entry here for the expression itself was 8 times 1.53. It's a word problem. And then they wanted to say equals and then 12.24. So they were very specific in what they wanted the kids to write. And I feel like they haven't used this, the little calculator thing on their computer very much.
That's what I was going to ask you as I was
So-
trying to phrase. Do you think it's the content or the platform?
I think it's a little bit of both, because number 1, it's a word problem, and we're always going to struggle with word problems. And they had to pull the information from the word problem to create the expression, and then find a way to type the expression the right way into the computer. So I think it was just like a situation here. Like there was a lot of pieces, and if they messed up one little piece, I couldn't give it to them.
Right.
You know, so many of them were on the right track. And I could go through and grade them by hand, and so they had 2 different places. So they wanted the whole expression equals and the answer all typed in the top. And then they had a second location to just type the answer. So if they just put the expression up here and they had it correct, and they had the correct answer in the bottom, I gave it to them. Like I could go in and say they got it correct, even though they didn't type it exactly how they expected it, because they showed that they had it. But even doing that, it was still only 14%. So I don't know what the problem was there.
So will you, going forward, cause I know there's another one on here,
Mm-hmm.
but going forward, because, so when I was looking at this PLC by DeFore, one of the things that they were using also is, it's called endurance. So first of all, the standard is 5.3E, which is multi-step word problems, correct? Is that what that was?
Solve for products
It's a word problem though, right?
of decimals with the hundreds, including involving money, strategies based on place value understandings, properties of operations, and relationships to multiplication whole numbers. I mean, I don't think it says
Let's look at
word
our
problems in there.
descriptors in our printout for the 5.3E. And, let's clarify on the descriptors.
Oh, I have that. No, still lost in the sauce. That's right.
They will have the full T.
0.3E.
Mhm. There's a lot of them that hopefully mine are. So that's 5.3 is already a doozy.
Yep.
It is a readiness standard. Solve for products of decimals. So you've got to solve for products of decimals, including situations. What are we like real life application? Is that what it's called?
It says including situations involving money, so they want the kids to be able to handle money, and this is a money question.
So that's why I'm saying the different parts. So you have to know decimals.
Mhm.
You have to know money. You have to know
Place value.
properties of operations. Is that like
What do you do first? What do you do second?
is that
PEMDAS.
PEMDAS? Thank you. PEMDAS, and then relationship. What are they asking me? Relationship to the multiplication of whole numbers. Like, how does it relate back?
I don't know.
I don't know either. That's
Rachel,
already.
What
That's
does
like.
that mean?
I think it's a relationship between the whole number of like the place value compared to the decimal.
So where it fits. That is a lot.
It's a lot of things.
So that's where I was like, this is where I was telling you, like, if I'm looking, yes, every teak is very important. But one of the things that I have learned in all my PLC reading I've been doing is we have a lot of teaks to teach, but some teaks need to be taught very well because they're going to go past this test, past 5th grade, and it's going to set them up.
I think this is one of them that's really important because
And
they're
so
going
that
to use
would-
money forever.
Well, do you remember when we talked about your place value unit at the beginning? You had asked for some suggestions, and I said always go back and compare it to money. No matter if they're using money on
Right.
the application or the application problem or the problem set, always have students practice that and can think of it as money, and you can model it, you can compare it to a fraction, whatever it is that you're doing in those different relationships, but always revert it back to like, well, if I have this, how much money would that be? And just make those connections constantly, because a lot of the 5th grade standard will involve questions that do with money when it comes to place value.
Okay.
Not every single one, but there is a lot. So just remember whenever we talked about that with the place value, and you had to shade the multiplication of the decimals, and you had to shade it.
Yeah.
And I said, always think of it as like, how much money would that be?
Yeah.
And so kind of just always compare it somehow and just get them in that habit of thinking that way. And then that will become more of a mental math situation with decimals.
And that's where, I mean, you can have this, whether you use it or not, it's okay. I am using this to analyze my own test data, my
I
own
have
data.
my own.
Do you have your own? I bet you do, because I've seen your science finder, it's very well. But that's where we were talking about endurance. They have to have endurance, they have to be able to do 5.3E. When you look at this star frequency chart even, like that 5.3E has been tested, there's been at least 2 questions on every test since 2017. So are you what is your plan for that teak?
So I am a spiraler. Okay, always spiral back. So 5.3E, right?
Yes.
So we just did our mid-module. It's mid-mod. It's not a unit assessment for 2, and 5.3E was tested on that as well. And they did 69% on that instead of 14.2%. And the question this time looked different. That was just a basic multiplication question, and it still falls under 5.3E.
Mhm.
So it's 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication, and 69% is what they did on that one. 5.3E again. This is a drop down where they had to put like the tenths. So how many tenths are in 2.5? Well, there's 25 tenths in 2.5, and then they have to choose their answer. So on that one, it was a little bit more involved as far as what the kids had to do, but they did not very good on that one.
But that one that you're saying is not very good, is that one more similar to what you had on the test?
No.
No.
Nope. That was a totally different looking question. So apparently they're going to test this thing several different ways.
Yeah.
Because look at what they had to do. So they had to drop down here and like
Plug in.
recognize what they were asking them here. So how many tenths? And they were confused. The answers that they picked, they answered it and put 75 here.
I think I'd be confused.
And then over here, they just clicked something. That's what they did because I
they were
pulled
well,
up the kids' answers.
let's look at the student learning standard breakdown, and let's look at the 5.3E, and let's see like which students are the ones struggling with it, so we can determine like a small group or 2 small groups to pull for intervention or reinforcement time. It's the student learning standard breakdown.
5.3.
So it looks like we have several
Sophie.
students.
Sophie's in good shape. Noah's in good shape.
So, do you want to make 3 columns in who's done it well?
Let's
Medium.
do 3 columns of mastery. And then 1 other column on the other end for needs a reteach. And then 1 column in the middle for reinforcement.
So is this right here, this paper, the standard breakdown, does this do like the mid-mod that we just did and module
This will
1?
do any test that you put into our system.
That's awesome.
Yes. And whenever I can show you how to get to some of these reports.
Okay.
So let's kind of go through with the first student. So the first student, if looking at the 5.3E, where did he fall with that?
He was 0%.
So he would be in the reteach column.
Yeah.
Okay. And second student,
Same.
third student.
She was at 50.
So let's do a reinforcement.
Yep.
Okay.
Fourth student,
He's in the reteach.
Fifth.
50, so he would be in
reinforcement.
the middle.
Sixth,
She's in the middle too.
seventh,
Reteach.
eighth.
She got it 100% of the time.
So she's a mastery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's keep going.
In the middle. In the middle.
Mm-hmm.
In the reteach. In the middle.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the 100% here.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll be a reteach.
So you have 2 groups now. One will be like a small group reteach, and one would be a reinforcement, where you would pull a couple different question types over that TEAK and monitor how those students are doing. And then in a small group, you'll be able to see on the spot like what step they're messing up on. And you can always, of course, make that group even smaller and split them in half and do 2 smaller groups,
Okay.
depending on your setup at your small group table.
So one of our little dudes is heading to resource next week. So
Yes. So we
we'll just
know.
let him go there.
Yes. But we can still put that on, that is still, he's still one that needs to be that, have
So
to
he
be taught.
could be double dipped.
Yes. So, anytime you're looking at the student learning breakdown of whatever TEAK that you're looking at on our assessment. Always pull this because it's a good way to look at which kids need what.
This is amazing. Why have I never seen this before?
So, this will break down also by even the questions they answered. So if you go and
So I
look
have the
at,
questions that they answered.
Mhm.
I have that.
But almost though, those kids that mastered, because part of that is like our goal this year is to be NEETs or above. That is our goal on campus.
Mhm.
And so almost these kids, like if you were to pull this question, that 5.3E, like the question on the test,
Mhm.
I'm getting lost in this papers. This one, oh my Lanta. Just,
All the papers.
there's so many papers. Here it is. I put it up here so I wouldn't lose it. This one. If you would put them with this, that master's group,
Mhm.
I think that would be pushing them, or they could design the questions backwards. I don't know.
yeah, so students who are mastering that TEAC, and they're mastering pretty much across the board, that's gonna be more of your enrichment group. And it's not to say that every student that masters one TEAC it needs enrichment. It's just if they're beginning a pattern of across the board for a majority.
Take a look at our second to the bottom guy right there.
Mhm.
That's 100% across the board,
Yes,
everywhere.
and that would be
And
an
math and
enrichment.
science.
Mhm.
So he is my enrichment kid.
Yes.
He does all the things. So I don't make him sit through a lesson because, sometimes they
No, you allow him
repeat.
to move on and keep
Yes.
growing on his level.
So I'll hand him the packet, tell him the must do's. He brings it back. If he gets 100%, he goes and creates.
He does his online.
things, and
Mhm.
he does online stuff.
I
and
almost
he's-
wonder though,
he's
because
amazing.
part of enrichment is also if you can do it, can you teach it? You can do it, the work, but can you explain it and teach it to someone else? If you partnered him with,
He does not like doing that, and I don't want to make him.
he doesn't like to, he's anti work with people.
He wants to play with people,
Okay.
not help people.
Oh,
Are
I
you
got
with
it.
me?
Yeah.
And
That's a typical
I think
GT.
it's a GT kid.
Uh-huh.
He wants to
That's
play.
a standard
He's
GT.
Very happy with creating things. Like
So
he'll
he could
get
create
in.
that they could use.
Yes, and we do that.
Okay,
So he
great.
does that for us. And but like to sit and try to teach somebody.
Okay, I respect that. I was just trying to think
He
of
doesn't
how
want
we
to,
could
and I don't want to make him because I don't want to
stifle. I get
I
that.
don't want to make him unhappy
Mm-hmm.
because he did an amazing job. I would
Yeah.
rather reward him for doing an amazing job and let him pick from my super handy choice board thing.
Mm-hmm.
My finisher choice board's got all kinds of challenging things for the kids to do, like STEMmy stuff, and he loves that, and he works
I like that you know him
so
well.
hard. Yes, and he's amazing. We just got to keep him.
Happy.
Well,
On
let's
the
look
right
at
path.
your
Yeah.
other low standards. Let's look at 5.2C. It's rounding decimals to the tenths or hundredths. And we have 29% on that TEAC, so there's a disconnect there. So let's look at our student learning standard. We pretty much already know it being at 29%. There's not going to be very many students who master that TEAC.
.2C.
5.2C.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go ahead and do the same thing, and that is going to be the two most important standards that we're going to focus on, because this is rounding. We know rounding is involved in many other aspects of our assessments, not just in one question type. So let's make 3 columns for the 5.2C. And let's do the same thing with the student breakdown.
I've got a couple 33s on there. Oh, wrong column. I was looking at 5.2B.
5.2C. So we'll have a mastery, a reinforcement, and a reteach.
But can I, while you're doing that, like something that that's popping in my head is like going back to what I'm saying, like with like the endurance part. These other two standards are low, like maybe it's like an game or an IXL or something, but where's the biggest bang for your buck? Like, is it going to be on those two TEAGs, or is it gonna be that 5.3K? Because you are still below passing on 5.3K, 64%, which is a readiness standard, which is one that's gonna be going further on.
Let's look at the blueprint. Let's see.
Because those other two, they have barely been tested over the last 10 years. Maybe it's something they need to know right now, but is it something endurance-wise they're gonna need to know past?
Well, even if it's just
Right.
2 questions on the frequency,
Mhm.
2 questions could be the determination between a meets and masters, or approaches and
Right,
meets.
but what I'm saying is
Or just
frequency-wise,
approaches.
5.3K has been tested 14 times. Like, it is a heavy hitter. So like, and they are not mastered at that even, they're below passing.
They
So-
are below the 70% mark, but they are near it. And so we
The
want
goal
to
is beating.
focus on things that we know that are very important, that's going to help support maybe some of these other TEAGs, because just because it might be delegated and said this is rounding, it doesn't mean it won't be paired with another TEAG on the state assessment, because it still can be paired.
Correct. Alright, are those the only ones that you have?
Okay, have you done your 3 columns for the 5.2C? Okay, now I want you to take that highlighter, and I want you to look at the
Samesies.
common names on the reteach. What are the common names in the reteach column?
Can we
Don't
say
say
those
names.
names?
No,
Okay.
don't say names. You know those names. Please.
So whenever you're analyzing your student data, just be aware of these commonalities that you start to find with these students. Then you can look at those students and say, okay, are these students identified with a learning disability? You're knowing your students, you're gonna know that is that student being successful for their ability?
Right.
And then look at students that maybe are not on your radar, and you move forward with that way too. That way, whenever you have students on your radar in the back of your mind, you can continue to monitor them and work with them accordingly, to help them master skills.
So how are you gonna do, like, how do you do small group? Do you have time for that in 5th grade? Do they do small group in 5th grade? How are you gonna hit those kids?
Previously, I had a small group during intervention time. I no longer have intervention time. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
You met with the interventionist and you requested for her to pull a small group of kids for math because you are seeing some signs of struggles.
You know what's interesting?
So,
The kids that I named.
so you're already being aware of those things. This is just you specifically breaking down exactly which TEAG, what question types, and so forth and so on that those kids are struggling with. And then you're making plans to try to get them some reinforcement in their assigned intervention time, even though it's not within your time block.
Okay.
So that's a good way to,
So will there be
Get
someone,
every-
is that what you're saying? There'll be someone that pulls her kids?
Interventionist.
Yes.
Like you, are,
the interventionist
Okay.
will pull.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
and they'll be going over the specific data that she has?
They will get her input and then they will start doing activities and work that are on the TEAC or the skill that they requested help with, and then we start determining where these misconceptions are or disconnects are, and then we'll start moving forward from there.
Let's see.
So my first little guy, if you look at him across the board right here, he's got hundreds, 50, 100. The two teaks that we just looked at are the only two that he's struggling with. He's got everything else. That's why he wasn't on my interventionist list.
Yes.
He's
And that's just a quick reteach. That might be something you do right next to his desk when you're watching the next time that y'all have that come up, and you just sit right next to him. You look and see where he, like, what step or what disconnect is causing him to get it wrong, and then you just correct it right then. Let him do it another time and see if he's grasped the concept or not. Those little reteaches doesn't have to be like a formal small group. It can be just a quick set aside it.
Like, I like how
And
we
move
use
forward.
exit tickets for that. You can see pretty quickly with an exit ticket,
Mhm.
are we picking it up or are we still
You can
struggling?
put even a question on the board and give everybody a post-it note.
Mm.
They work out their little problem on the post-it note, and they come stick it on
we do-
the board or the
yeah.
anchor chart. And then, of course, their name or initials will be on it, so you're gonna know whose it is. And then you can see their work specifically for that particular problem. It's really quick, it's easy, it's interactive with them. They get out of their seat, kids enjoy that. So,
I did
and
have
that's
a
something that you can
small group
keep
today a little
too,
bit.
with your data, and start figuring out like what step, because even a kid that is mastering something at 100%, yes, they might be mastering something, but they could still be missing a step, and that step that they miss may be a question type.
Right.
So going on what you're saying is I have one that's at 100% in my class. But when I flip it and he has to explain it and he has to do exactly the steps I've asked, he cannot. He can go from A to Z, but he needs help sometimes with the middle parts. I need to use this strategy specifically because that's what it's telling him to do on their
Right.
test. He's missing that step, which is what she's saying.
I
Which is
think,
interesting.
speaking of that step, this question where they had to do the drop down, but the tenths, like
Mhm.
how many tenths are there? I think we skipped to the end. With that. We're missing, like you said,
The
that
middle
piece.
step, yeah.
And they just want them to do that, and the kids are like, why do I have to do that? That's confusing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They want to get to
So-
the point, which I understand.
Yes. And they can do it
Yeah.
and do it right. It's just that gobbledygook in the middle where
Well, and you never know how they're going to be assessed. So the thing with that is just exposing every question type that you have available to you, that you know that has been asked, which you have all that. Just exposing them to them and using that as guidance and practice. So therefore, when they have to do that independent assessment at the end of the year, they're going to be able to, one, recognize the question type, and two, be able to master the skill hopefully by then, if we're exposing them to the question. Because ultimately, no matter you teach the TEAC, you teach the skills that they need to have within that TEAC, and ideally, no matter how they ask the question or to solve the problem, they're going to know how to do it because they know all the pieces within it.
Right.
That's the ultimate goal. You just don't ever, the unknown is what is the certainty. And sometimes the data is skewed a little bit because of the question type. Like you said earlier, the question was just a little off. It was not a good question. It was set up. It looked weird on their screen. And you'd never seen something like that before. And they probably hadn't either. And so sometimes it is just the question that is the distractor. So when you do those quick reteaches or reinforcements with those kiddos real quick, you can tell pretty fast, yes, it was probably the question and how it was asked, or are they missing something?
Right.
So just knowing that in the back of your mind, like just because it has the data here, it doesn't mean it's 100% accurate, because there's gonna be a question like that, that might skew it just a little bit. So that's why when we make the columns, we know for sure this one's got it, we know this one doesn't have it, and we know that, those are probably the ones that either it was the question that messed them up,
Right.
or they are missing a skill.
So we've talked about my little choice board
Mm-hmm.
a whole bunch, and I really like that because a lot of times the kid will get done early, and if they get done early, they've always told us to have something for them to do, and I agree with that, but I feel like a lot of times that doesn't get done correctly.
Correct.
Because my oldest is the GT kid, and when he got to 6th grade, he sat in my lap and just cried because he couldn't understand. He was so overwhelmed because he didn't just have to do one assignment in any class. He got done early, got 100%, and got handed a whole nother assignment that he had to do because he was amazing. So he was essentially getting punished every day in every class for being amazing. So that I was like, oh, stop. I cannot do this anymore, and that's where the choice board thing came from.
I love it because part of what I'm studying, if you would allow me to share it with you, I will. I'll bring it next week. It's a lot of educators believe the extension, like you're saying for your oldest, is to give more work or to go up a grade level. And that's not what extensions are. It should not be any more than what they're doing. It's just another way of flipping it.
Yes.
For them
It's
to work.
enrichment is challenging
on
the student,
within-
anybody's brain,
Within their lane.
to innovate that creative and that STEM, that engineering mind, a different outside the box thinking.
Right.
And that could be academically or it could be creatively. There's different types of gifted and talented students. Not all gifted and talented students have the same qualifiers. So it's just like, it's in the same umbrella as SPED. It's just on the completely opposite side. So just like SPED students, they're identified through SPED by these different learning disabilities. Gifted and talented students are identified by these different qualifiers. So it's in the same umbrella, it's just on the opposite end. So just like you have to accommodate for these students on the SPED side, according to their ability, you have to accommodate these GT students on this side according to their capability.
Correct.
Does that make sense? So those different choices, those different activities, STEM corners, things like that, building things for the classroom to use according to what y'all are learning, they thrive on that, and it helps build and extend their learning as well.
It keeps them happy too.
It
so
does.
I started that conversation to spiral back into these column things that we made. So I don't just have one, I've got two. So the math choice board is reinforcing things that we're learning right now. The finish choice board is where my little GT guy goes. Where he creates things, he does things, he picks what he wants to do. He's like hands-on, active with his brain, like doing stuff. But the math choice board is where we go to reinforce stuff. So I wonder if I couldn't put, for these teaks that were bombing, that practice on there.
Yes.
Because like my first little guy right here and several of the other ones, they're hundreds everywhere else except for these two teaks. So when they finish, I could put them in that math
And when
choice
you
board
can do
for
a must
extra
do and may do,
practice.
just like you do with your curriculum, you have a must do and may do.
And they're
You
used
could
to
do like a must do that is like two of them, one for each teak. And then your may do's could be some of those more reinforcement activities.
So
that's what I
And
was
then when they
seeing that.
start, when you start seeing those, and you do those are very customizable. You can change those out throughout the week, bi-weekly, however you're doing that, depending on how long you're working on that skill.
That's almost where you would take these three columns that we created. Your reinforcement kids are on that choice board because
that's
they're
where-
self-pacing.
Right.
You're reteaching these kids, and then you can almost run like a station. You're reteaching these while they're on that computer, and then you can rotate and give these guys one exit ticket to see if it worked, and then these guys have a chance to reinforce.
And everything that we're talking about, that is on your T-test rubric as well. So it's not going to only benefit the students and the instruction, it's going to benefit your classroom and how things are evaluated.
Yeah, I like it.
So it's We've been must doing. I'm
I
doing
know.
things.
I know, it's so
Already.
customizable.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm trying
change
to
it
set
all
this
the
up,
time. It's
but I
amazing.
don't understand it.
Oh no.
So I'll have to meet with you on another day,
I would teach you.
and you'll have to teach me
It's
because
so
I tried
fun.
to set it up. I was like, I don't understand.
And we change them all the time.
Because I started doing IXL to
Mhm.
do kind of like what you're like to do the same concept. If I'm working with this group, this reinforcement group is on the IXL that went with the lesson I previously taught. It's this master's group that I'm trying to get this choice board for created.
They need
Because I think that's the way.
this one.
So we don't necessarily have a campus improvement like plan. When I went and spoke with Dr. Morgan, what we do have is kind of a campus goal is like an unstated campus goal. They want us to move from, basically they want us to be meets and above.
Mhm.
That's
And that goes with moving from like internalizing lessons to
Yeah.
evaluating and doing student analysis data, which is where we're going with in our PLCs.
right.
Within the school and in Region 10 and things like that. So this is where we're moving forward to. You're ready for that. You're understanding that very well. And so just kind of know from here point forward, this is kind of like where we're going to be going with it. So
But I do want
hopefully
I
it
want
starts
to
to benefit.
I do want to ask you one thing. I want to go back to these kids that took this test. How many tests have you taken? Just this one?
We taken
1.5.
the mid mod for this one,
Mhm.
but that was on paper. We took the end of this unit, and then unit 2 is a beast. So we just got through the mid mod on 2.
Okay, so we're not there yet.
We haven't taken that.
So
yet.
my question, so I circled 4 students that pop out at me. I don't know if they pop, if this is not normal for them, these 4 students.
So this one is a resource.
That's what I was gonna ask you, are
This
they,
one is on her way to
Okay.
resource. Her paperwork got messed up last year, and he will be going there next week.
and is she on your
So,
radar for something?
She's on my radar. She's one that I've talked to our interventionist about this morning, as a matter of fact.
So she's being RTI, or she's about to go through
For math.
for math? Okay.
Yes.
Is there anybody, those are the 4 that stood out to me, so I wasn't sure. So do they go, are they being serviced every day for math, these? This one not yet, but these,
So this one, yes, every day. This one, her paperwork has not been fixed yet, so no.
so what would be the
This
simplest?
one is going in next Monday. So
Next
he
Monday.
starts Monday and he'll go every day.
What is the prerequisite to, so like they have 0 across on 5.2C, they have 0 on 5.3D, what is the prerequisite skill? Like we were to vertical
I don't know.
align. Let me see. Because I'm wondering if they're in resource, it's because they're more than a year or more below.
Yes.
So
So
how could
she's
we-
doing basic skills. So let me tell you what she's working on right now.
And they have
We're-
goals that they work on
they
first.
do, but as a classroom teacher, we are both responsible for educating those kids.
Yes. So in class right now, our new unit, or the next part of module 2, we're working on dividing 2-digit numbers by 3 and 4-digit numbers.
Mhm.
So we're estimating that. She is taking them back to dividing 1 digit by 2 digits.
So she's kind of aligning.
So she is aligning. She looks at what we're doing today or this week or whatever, and she's taking it down about to where whatever grade level they're
About
on.
2
Okay,
notches.
so she's doing what I'm
So-
saying. That's what I was asking is what TEAG
Our fellow,
lined us up.
like right there, is
Mhm.
on 1st grade.
Which fella? This one right above your finger?
And then she is barely second, and same for her. So the
What TEAG was that?
So their
5.2C,
goals are
yeah.
vertically aligned
They
with
are.
the grade level expectancies, but they have to master those goals at a certain percentage rate
Mhm.
before they're allowed to go to the next goal within that vertical alignment piece. Does that make sense?
It does, but as a resource teacher, like I'm thinking if like these, not that I'm saying that you need to do this. I'm thinking of through my head, like how can we build these because we are so responsible for every kid on this paper. How could we support them in the class, or are they at all their minutes are with her? Like you never get to lay
No.
hands on them.
She has them for 45 of my 90. And it was
So they-
explained to me
Yeah.
that they want them exposed to 5th grade content. So they're with me during the lesson.
Okay.
And they do the lesson with us.
Right.
And I pull popsicle sticks and I ask them questions
Okay.
and they answer questions on
That's what I was
5th
asking.
grade content.
Okay.
Then they take their paper,
Mhm.
our problem set, to our resource teachers class. And then she takes it down to a level where they're at. So they're still going to take the 5th grade STAR. So they still have to be exposed to the content. So we don't want them to throw them on it and have them never seen it before. You know?
I agree.
So they are in class. They do participate. They do the lesson with us. It's just how much do they get?
I guess my thinking is your choice board. Like, if they had their own, but I guess there wouldn't be enough time with that. Like their own, like if you knew what teak, like preceding teaks,
If I
could
had
they have their own little,
If I had intervention,
you would do that.
I would have it for
Cause
them.
you're a rock star at choice boards, just saying.
They would have. They're easy.
Oh
And
my
the kids
Lanta, they're
love
not
them.
easy for
They
me.
are. You just gotta do it.
I
Yeah, learn
tried,
it.
I typed it in, I got 2 boxes and I don't know what else to do, so.
Oh gosh.
Okay,
The kids
let's
love them, though.
see. I have one more, I think I have one more question. No, maybe I don't. Do you have any questions?
I need to learn how to get to this.
Yeah, me too, cause I really don't know this either.
That's amazing. I want like all the teaks on there though, like and it's all the tests they take.
So go
all
to
the
your,
teaks.
go to Euphoria and go to where?
Right there.
Where'd you go? Okay. So, right here, you your drop down menu. These are the different things that you can do. So, analyze test items.
That's it.
Click on that one.
Where am I
And these
lost?
are for your SEs. Okay. If you go to this one, which this is one of your things that we looked at.
This test. Right? Or is that all of them?
This is this test.
So what does this tell me?
This is your, like your, so here's your total students, so all 13, out of all 13 students,
Okay.
here's the standard, okay? This is the percentage they got correct on that TEAC, or on that standard. These are the answer choices over here.
Okay. I
Okay.
see it.
So it's like a flip flop from the other one that we were looking at and analyzing.
Okay.
Okay. Learning starting breakdowns. Here is the breakdown by TEAC that we were looking at. That's
Okay.
by student. Okay.
So I'm just gonna say I'm not surprised by this right here because you know.
Whenever
This
you
gives you
go
detail.
to export,
I know how to print it.
well,
Or you can do something different.
oh, you don't have that option on yours. The summary.
No, only administrators.
Okay, so
Oh.
whenever you have a test, I can print out, this is the summary that we are looking at to identify where we're going with first. Does that
Okay.
make sense? I can get you this on any of your tests, but all the other ones are on this side drop down menu that
I
we
want
have.
that.
I want it.
Did I get it for 3rd grade? No.
I can do it for third
I
grade.
want it, cause that's where, I don't know, I think it's really powerful the way that you are analyzing each student. And that's where when I'm talking to the boys, every teacher really needs to dissect every student.
Okay,
Cause
so
we can't grow without it.
I'm gonna throw this out there,
Mhm.
and this is struggle lesson. There is not time
To dissect.
to do this.
Mhm.
I don't have time for it. So to come in here and do this with you right now,
Mhm.
I am letting go on what I'm doing right now for 4th grade. So I'm fixing to have to go get them.
Mhm.
And now instead of figuring out what I'm teaching them,
Mhm.
I'm doing this. You see what I'm saying?
So what I did is I went to Mr. B,
Mhm.
and I asked him if he and I could relook at the master schedule. And he's asking me why. He says, not that it can't change. I said, because we need time to vertically align. We're singletons. We don't have another 4th grade teacher to talk to, or another 5th grade. But if 3rd, 4th, and 5th could understand the TEAGs and dissect together, we could help grow together.
Right.
And we could know what they need before they come to you after, and what they need after you. It's going to take time, and I've got to present some data to him. Like, cause he's like, we don't just change it because we've got to change it.
I kind of
It's
wish
timing.
that we could have a PLC schedule like we had last year, and I'm
Designated.
okay. Yes, but a designated Thursday because that extra time is the time that week I would go
To
over
dissect.
all of my
Correct.
test data, and I could build, for specifics. I don't
Well,
have it though, and I've got a
last
whole
year-
nother grade that I'm having to teach, and there is not enough time
But
in
I'm
the day
going to go
anyway.
to him. I am
Right.
gonna go
So
to him.
last year's schedule that you're referring to is when
Thursday.
we had Thursdays set. You had the longer planning period and all in one chunk.
Right.
Okay, so because we're moving forward so well from last year, we can still designate Thursdays as PLC planning time. It's just, it's going to be the 45 minutes only instead of the whole chunk. Because your chunk now is split into 2 breaks during the day.
Right.
You have your PE and then your art.
Right.
So we can still designate specific days for that,
But we're not gonna have any more time.
No,
but it won't be any more time. It'll be
Not
like
gonna do it again.
45 minutes.
Ain't gonna do
So,
that. So on Thursdays last year, we had like an hour and a half.
because you had that 30 minutes that we have in the morning.
Right.
They broke it up because for teachers in the morning who have their PLC time at 8:30 in the morning, you don't get another break at all.
Oh yeah.
So
No.
the thought process was if we broke up 30 minutes in the morning, you have an AM
And I
PM
love it.
schedule.
Like I love having a break.
But
Like,
what
I'm
I
gonna
asked
have-
him was,
I'm gonna
can
have
you
a break.
not line up? Because you're the 4th, 5th, I'm the 3rd. So you and I should get to meet once every 2 weeks, maybe, to talk TEKS
Right.
and data. So that way I can support you, and then maybe you align with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math teachers, since they teach the same thing, right?
Right.
There's 1, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Mhm.
But to do that, they're gonna have to change the master schedule to where when your kids are at,
Or they're gonna
Here.
do what other schools have done and tell us we have to meet after school.
we're not going to ask you to meet after school.
no,
for
he's
PLC.
willing to look at the master schedule, but it's more conversations. Like I already
Yeah.
started the conversation with him 2 weeks ago. So I said,
But-
after
I think
this
it's a good idea to talk it out.
So you're
but
talking about the time. The time is still in your day. It's just split in 2
maybe I don't feel the time
because we had such a big chunk at once,
well
and we weren't
Double
feeling
work
rushed.
from what I had before.
Yes.
But you
So
also have nobody to talk to bounce ideas off of.
so one of the things is like we can still designate days, but part of my role is to be able to come in and just